now begin with the first session of the day at this one-day state-level seminar on the Maintenance and Welfare of Parents and Senior Citizens Act 2007, effective implementation in Goa, organized by the International Center Goa and Goa Can in association with the Directorate of Social Welfare Government of Goa. The first session is a session on overview of the Act and Goa rules. And the speaker for this session, I introduce Ms. Shruti M. Nadkarni. She is an assistant professor at Govind Ramnath Kare College of Law. A round of applause for our speaker. Yes, she's an assistant professor at a College of Law from South Goa, Margao.
I am here today to give a brief outline or overview about the Act, that is the Maintenance and Welfare of Parents and Senior Citizens Act 2007, and the corresponding rules that Goa government has laid down to implement this Act. I would like to begin with the Chinese proverb which says that a family with an old person has a living treasure of gold. Now, although it's a Chinese proverb, we know that it holds good in all the civilization in all the countries. Especially in India, we have a rich tradition of respecting our parents, respecting our elderly, because we believe in Matru Deva Bhava, Pitru Deva Bhava, that is mothers and mother and father are equal to gods. But what we see of late is with the changing times, the scenario is changing. There are many cases of abuse of parents, neglect, abandonment of parents and senior citizens. One of the reasons could be that children don't have time for their parents because of the hectic schedule. And the situation goes on worsening as the parents become senior citizens. Because by that time they don't have work, they retire from work, they have many illnesses. So children think that they are a burden for them, and then they are neglect, then they are abandoned. So what comes across is what we call as parental abuse. So before we go into the Act, I would like to briefly speak about what is parental abuse. Parental abuse is any act which children does towards their parents which is harmful in nature, to get control over the parents or to do any harm to the parents. That is called as parental abuse. Now this abuse could be of many ways. Mostly the targets of this we could say are single mothers because they are more emotionally attached to their children. But it's not a rule. Both equally, even single parents or families with both the parents equally go through this parental abuse. And this parental abuse is there in all, right? Rich, poor, educated, uneducated. So it's not that only it's there in uneducated people. That's a very wrong misconception that we have. Now, there are various types of abuse. We have verbal abuse, that is calling names, passing sarcastic comments, shouting at them, yelling at them. That's verbal abuse. Then we have emotional abuse, playing mind games with parents, which the teenagers very well, they know how to play mind games with their parents. Giving threats of committing suicide, or actually the person doesn't want to commit, but it's just to play with the minds of the parents to make their various undesirable wishes get fulfilled. Physical abuse is the most common one, that is hitting, pushing, okay, throwing things. And financial abuse. Financial abuse is a kind of abuse as most of the parents, they don't even realize that it's abuse. Buying some expensive things, making parents pay, that's also financial abuse. If the parent cannot afford it, still they have to pay. Or other common forms are like taking the property of the parents, okay, misusing the property of the parents. These are all forms of financial abuse. So parents and senior citizens, they go through various of these abuses. And to tackle this problem of parents' abuse, the Act was put in place by the government, that is the Maintenance and Welfare of Parents and Senior Citizens Act in 2007. Now that is the Act that we are going to concentrate on, that what are the various provisions of this Act, okay, and try to make it a little bit simplified because we know our laws are a little bit worded in a complicated terms. The The main objective of this act when it was enacted was to make more effective provisions for parents and senior citizens. That was the only objective with which this act was enacted. Now this is the most important part that I would like to stress on. This act normally is called as Senior Citizens Act. That is what it is termed as. But I would like to tell you all today that the act gives equal importance to parents and senior citizens. Now what does it mean is, you don't have to be senior citizen to take advantage of this act. This act protects parents as well as senior citizens. But generally the act is called as Senior Citizens Act. So we feel that the act only protects senior citizens. But that's not the case. There are two beneficiaries of this act. One are parents and one are senior citizens. So who are parents? Mother, father. They can be biological mother and father or adoptive mother and father. Stepfather, stepmother, they are equally included in that, whether or not they are senior citizens or not. So even if you are below 60 years of age and your children are not looking after you, you could make an application for maintenance under this act. Now this is a fact which is not known to many of the people. They feel that we are not senior citizens. What do we do? Who protects us? But the act is for maintenance and welfare for parents and senior citizens. So this is a message I think that has to be, awareness has to be created, because most of the people don't know that if a person is 55 years of age and the child is abusing, they say that Senior Citizens Act is not for me, because it is called as Senior Citizens Act. But it's not a Senior Citizens Act alone, it is for maintenance and welfare for parents and senior citizens. So even if a parent is not a senior citizen, they could claim maintenance under the act. Now second category of course is senior citizens. That is a person who is a citizen of India and who has attained 60 years of age. So two beneficiaries of this act are there, that is parents and senior citizens. Who has an obligation to maintain under the act? Act puts equal obligation on son and daughter. Son as well as daughter both are equally liable to maintain their parents. Daughters cannot say that I am married off, I have no responsibility. Daughter also has equal responsibility here. So son, daughter, grandson and granddaughter. So application for maintenance could be filed against grandson and granddaughter also, because they are also equally liable to maintain their grandparents. But of course it does not include minor. Now there are twofold benefits that the act speaks about. One is maintenance and one is welfare. Now maintenance part is one which you could ask from your children, you could ask from grandchildren or the relative, but welfare part is the state's responsibility. So act speaks about both aspects, maintenance as well as the welfare part. So maintenance would include the requirements, basic requirements, that is food, shelter, medical attendance, medical treatment and so on. Whereas welfare are the other facilities that government should provide for their food, for their recreation and all the other facilities that government has to provide. So there are twofold benefits that this act has. Now how this maintenance application has to be made? Now this maintenance application, before that, another small point that you missed out, that what if a senior citizen or a parent is, a senior citizen does not have children, then what they do? Now the act also provides for that if they do not have children, then they can ask maintenance from a relative. Now which is a relative? Relative is that person who will be his legal representative after his death, or who is in possession of his property already, or after his death that person is going to inherit his property. So he is a relative who is required to maintain him now when he is alive. Right? So if a person has no children, that doesn't mean that act will not protect that person. He can ask from that relative who would inherit his property after his death. Okay, so that is another important aspect of the act. Now coming to maintenance application. This maintenance application will be made by a person, that is parent or a senior citizen, who is unable to maintain himself either out of his income or out of his property. Okay, that person is entitled to make. That means a senior citizen or a parent can make application under this act, or any person who is incapable if he is incapable by any other person or organization like NGOs or any other person who could for his help can make application. And so these two people are entitled. Or thirdly, the maintenance tribunal can take suo motu cognizance. That means by themselves they can take cognizance of that abuse of a person. By themselves they can give maintenance to a person. Now, as I said, against whom it can be made? It can be made against parents or grandparents can make application against children when they are not minor, or childless senior citizen can make against a relative. Okay, relative is a person who will inherit his property or who is in possession of his property during his lifetime, or after he is dead, who is going to inherit his property. So either you can claim against the children, grandchildren, or a relative. The maintenance could be claimed. Now, application has to be made to a maintenance tribunal. Now, this maintenance tribunal will be constituted by the state government, right? So that is how they are constituted under Goa rules for the state of Goa. So every state government will have this maintenance tribunal, and the presiding officer of this should not be below the rank of subdivisional officer. Once this maintenance tribunal gets the application for maintenance, what they do is they will send notice to the opposite party, that is the children or the relative against whom the maintenance is claimed. And after hearing both the sides, they will pass an order of maintenance. That's a simple procedure. In detail, the procedure is laid down in the rules that we'll see when we see the Goa rules. Maintenance tribunal can also grant interim maintenance. Interim maintenance means till the final disposal of your maintenance application. Suppose immediately the parent or a senior citizen is in immediate need of money. So they could grant an interim maintenance till the final disposal of the application. Now this allowance has to be paid from the date of order or from the date of application as per the order of the tribunal. The time limit for disposal of this maintenance application is 90 days. So maintenance tribunal has to dispose of these applications within 90 days. That is 90 days from the date of service of notice, okay, to the parties. Now this can be extended by the maintenance tribunal, but only to the extent of 30 days, not beyond that. Now if there is an order of maintenance and the person does not comply with that, then what happens? Then maintenance tribunal will issue a warrant. Now this is a warrant for levying the amount due. So if the warrant would be to pay the amount maintenance as per the maintenance order. And this person, if he does not pay, it will be taken from him like as if the fines are levied on him. Right? Now, still if there is unbalance, this person says, I do not have money. Where do I pay from? So in that case, the Act also provides for imprisonment. For a month, or if he pays earlier, he will be released earlier, or at least for a month, he will be inside the jail if he does not pay the rest of the amount or the maintenance amount. Now, before this maintenance tribunal passes an order, there is also a procedure for settlement. Right? Now, that is an authority called as conciliation officer. So, maintenance tribunal, before directly passing an order and asking the children, okay, to pay the maintenance, or even otherwise, if they feel that there is no merit in the case, they will say, okay, don't pay the maintenance. Before that, they would see the possibility, there is a possibility for settlement. Now, then they refer this to a conciliation officer. Conciliation officer will try to reconcile between the parents and the children. And within 1 month, they have to try to see that if there is an amicable settlement. If there is an amicable settlement, they will give a report to the maintenance tribunal, and accordingly maintenance tribunal will confirm this order. So they will always see the possibility to see that the relations are not spoiled between parents and the children. Because outrightly, if maintenance tribunal say that okay, you pay money, obviously children are going to get hurt unless they themselves accept and give the money. So they'll always try to see that if there is an amicable settlement between the parents and the children. Now the maximum amount that can be passed as a maintenance allowance is 10,000 rupees. Although state government can make an amount, but it should not exceed 10,000 rupees. So it's up to the state government how much maximum allowance they have to decide. Now this amount that has been ordered has to be deposited within 30 days of the date of announcing the order. So within 30 days the children has to deposit the amount in the either the bank or as per the order of the maintenance. Now in addition to this, the tribunal can also ask them to pay interest. Now this interest should be between 5% to 8%. 5% to 8% interest could be asked to be paid to these children along with the maintenance allowance. Now against the order of maintenance tribunal, the aggrieved party can go to in appeal. Aggrieved party can be either the parents, the senior citizen, or the children. If the maintenance is granted, the children can go in appeal. If it is not granted, the parents or the senior citizens can go in appeal. Now for this purpose, there is an authority called as Appellate Tribunal. Now this Appellate Tribunal will also be constituted by the state government. And this should not be an officer below the rank of district magistrate. Okay, the presiding officer of this Appellate Tribunal. Now this person has to prefer an appeal within 60 days from the order of the maintenance tribunal. So they have to go in appeal. Now again, the procedure remains the same. They will issue notices, they will hear the parties, they will give the orders. Apart from this, there is another authority which has been placed under the Act. Is called as maintenance officer. Now this maintenance officer, what he does is, he will be a district social welfare officer or not below the rank of district social welfare officer. Now this person usually helps these people to be represented before either maintenance tribunal or before appellate tribunal. So they will assist them to represent, because representation through lawyers is not there under the Act. Okay. Now this was a maintenance part. How you can claim maintenance, from whom you can claim maintenance. Now we are coming to the welfare part. Now these are the obligations which are imposed on the government under the Act. The Act provides for establishment of old age homes. For every district there has to be a old age home, and at least one in each district, for a minimum of 150 senior citizens who are indigent can take help here. Indigent in the sense who cannot afford, they do not have money. Right? So for every district, minimum one in every district, there has to be a old age home established under the Act by the state government. The Act also provides that state government has to make provisions for medical care of senior citizens. Now these are various provisions that state government should see that are available to the senior citizens. They have to see that there are hospitals, and government hospitals should never refuse to give beds to the senior citizens. Right? Then there are separate queues to be arranged for the senior citizens in hospitals. Then they have to make facilities for treatment of these chronic and degenerative diseases. Degenerative diseases like we have Alzheimer's and all these diseases. Then there should be research facilities for this chronic of elderly people, chronic diseases in elderly people. Then there are facilities for geriatric patients, that is for old age patients and various old age illnesses. So there are facilities should be made for this also. Now all this is responsibility of the state government. They have to do all these things under the Act, and for this they have to provide under the rules. Apart from that, the Act also imposes obligation on the government to protect life and property of the senior citizens. Now this responsibility is given on the government. For this purpose, they have to conduct awareness programs. They have to sensitize the people about the Senior Citizens Act. They have to have coordination of all the stakeholders who are involved in protection of senior citizens, right from departments to police to NGOs. So there have to be various programs to sensitize all these people. Sensitize people awareness program. This is also mandatory provision under the Act. Now this is another unique feature of the Act, that is conditional transfer of property. Now what happens is, suppose a senior citizen has given the property to a person, say a children or some relative, with the view that that person will take care of me. But after getting property, the person does not take care of him. Then what happens? Does he lose the property? The Act says no. Suppose you have transferred the property in the name of a person, thinking that he will take care of you, and now he is not taking care, then you can ask that property back. Because it will be considered as if that person has taken that property by fraud or by undue influence, coercion. Right? So there is a provision that you can make application, ask that, see, this person is not taking care of me, I want my property back. So that is called as conditional transfer of property. That is also a provision here which I don't think anybody knows about this. They think that, oh God, why did I give my property? Now I neither have property, nobody is taking care of me. But that's not so. You can ask your property back saying that you are not taking care of me. That's another aspect which needs to be sensitized among the parents and senior citizens. Then what is the punishment under the Act? The punishment for abandonment of senior citizens is imprisonment, which can extend to 3 months, or fine, which can extend to 5,000 rupees or both. Okay, this is under Senior Citizens Act alone. If the person is arrested, there are other sections of other criminal laws also will be applicable to him. So the other sections, other punishment will be attractive. But only under Senior Citizens Act, this is the punishment. Okay. Now what is the position in Goa? We have seen overview of the Act, and what we have realized is the most important thing is the entire responsibility is on the state government to see that the Act is implemented. They have to see that there are welfare schemes, they have to see for medical treatment, they have to see for the protection of property. So the whole obligation is on the state government. To fulfill this obligation and to implement the Act, in 2009, Goa government passed the rules. That is, the Maintenance and Welfare of Parents and Senior Citizens Rules 2009. Now, under these rules, this one important feature is all the committees are in place they are supposed to be in place as per the rules. Now what are the authorities? The authorities that we have already discussed. We have Maintenance Tribunal, we have Conciliation Officer, we have Maintenance Officer, we have Appellate Tribunal. In addition, we have State Council and District Committees. Now Maintenance Tribunal, as we know, is a person who decides for the maintenance allowance on an application made by the senior citizen. Now this person here should be, the presiding officer should be subdivisional officer here, that is usually the magistrate in case of Goa. That is executive magistrate. Okay. Now conciliation officer, there has to be a panel of persons, suitable persons who are appointed as conciliation officers, and they have to be, that has to be prepared by the tribunal. Then there are maintenance officer, that is assistant director welfare for SC, STs, OBC North Goa, and assistant director welfare for disabled South Goa are designated under the rules as the maintenance officers. So they have to assist senior citizens to represent before the maintenance tribunal or represent before the appellate tribunal. Then appellate tribunal, every district should have this appellate tribunal, and here presiding officer is not below the district magistrate. So collector is the appellate tribunal for us in Goa. Then apart from that, we have State Council for Senior Citizens, which will advise the government in proper implementation of this act. We also have District Committee for Senior Citizens, which to be constituted for every district to advise effective and coordinated implementation of act in that particular district. district collectors have the wide powers to take control of the entire thing, and they have wide powers to implement the Senior Citizens Act. Now this is a procedure. We have already seen procedure for applying for maintenance, but this is a detailed procedure that is mentioned under the rules, which we will just say in gist. Whenever a person wants to make an application, there is a form A. I think it's also given in the kit that you have. So in that form, you have to make application for maintenance allowance. Now on receipt of application, the officer, that is maintenance tribunal, presiding officer, maintenance tribunal, they will enter the details in the register, which is to be compulsorily maintained by them. And they will give you an acknowledgement in form B, along with this registration number. That shows that your application, your complaint for maintenance or application for maintenance has been acknowledged. Then there will be a preliminary scrutiny. Maintenance tribunal will see whether the application is complete first of all, and whether the person has prima facie proved his case. That means the person whom is naming in the application is really entitled to pay maintenance or not. Prima facie means is he really the children of theirs? Is he really staying? So there will be a preliminary scrutiny by the maintenance tribunal. If they find that there is anything incomplete, they will ask the senior citizens to complete that. The next stage would be notice. Once they are satisfied that the application is genuine, they will issue notices to the opposite party, that is children. Now this notice has to be in form C. Right? Now along with this, also there will be copies of application, replies and so on. This can be hand delivered. If the senior citizen says that, okay, I will go and give it, fine. Otherwise through a server, otherwise by registered post. A notice will also be given to the parents in form D. A notice to the children would specify that they have to appear on a particular day. They have to appear on a particular day and show cause why this maintenance should not be granted, why this allowance should not be granted to them. Okay. Now if the parties do not appear, then what happens? If the parties do not appear, then tribunal can proceed ex parte, that is in their absence. They can proceed ex parte and they can decide in either ways, either to grant maintenance or not to grant maintenance. Now in case the parties come and they say that, okay, I made a mistake, I am ready to pay, then also the maintenance tribunal will take decision according to whatever claims that they have admitted. Now, before any decision is taken, maintenance tribunal will always refer the matter to conciliation officer, just to see whether there can be amicable settlement of the issue between parents and the children. Now, this conciliation officer, what he has to do is, they have to settle the issue. Now, what they will do is, this conciliation officer, they will also hold meetings with both the parties and try to settle. Now they get only 1 month for this. They can't take forever saying that we are settling the issue. Only 1 month is given to them. Within that, they should try to amicably settle the dispute. If they cannot do it, then in that case, after the end of 1 month, they will send report and tell the tribunal we were unable to settle the issue for so and so reasons. These are the disputes which cannot be reconciled. Now, if they succeed in settlement, again, they will tell the maintenance tribunal that, see, we have succeeded, they have come up to this settlement. And then they will write something called as memorandum of settlement, which they will forward to maintenance tribunal, and maintenance tribunal will confirm it. Any number of cases. Now, why this case? The first case, Harish Relan versus Kaushal Kumari Relan. What is significant in this case was, here the mother was 92 years of age, and the children were not maintaining her. Now at the age of 92, she had to make an application for maintenance, and 7,500 rupees were granted to her as a maintenance. So what was disturbing for me was at the age of 92, she had to make an application, go through all this procedure that we have seen to ask for maintenance, and then she gets a maintenance of 7,500 rupees per month. Now in the second case also, H.S. Subramanya versus H.S. Lakshmi, here also the mother was 88 years of age and there were two sons who were not maintaining her, and again she files her application for maintenance and she was given 3,000 rupees as the maintenance by the tribunal. Now the third case is very interesting case. This is a case of a judge from Punjab and Haryana High Court, a retired judge, Justice Shanti Swarup Diwan. He was 85 years of age, his wife was 74 years of age, and they were living together with son. Daughters were married off, and they also had gifted a property to the son where he built his house. So they said, okay, fine, you go and stay there. But son built the house, took the property nicely which was gifted by the father. He never moved into that house. He continued staying with the father. Slowly he stopped his sisters from entering the house. Now this Justice Shanti Swarup, he wanted to donate all his law books to law college. But he locked the office. He said, no, nothing doing. You're not giving your books to anyone. They started stopping people from coming and meeting him. So finally he said, enough, I had it. Now I have to make maintenance application. And in Punjab and Haryana that time, there was no state law which was in force. So he filed a petition to the High Court asking them, first of all, to have rules in place to implement Senior Citizens Act, and then there was implementation of the Act, and he was given maintenance, and he said that I do not want maintenance, take my son away from my house. So son was told, you go back and stay in the house which I have gifted you, you don't come back to my house, plus he was asked to give maintenance. Now this is a case of a judge of a High Court. So imagine how far this implementation of the law is lacking. Now these are some other cases that I have come across which are unreported. This was a lady which was abandoned by son at a fruit vendor. This lady was 75 years old. She was told by the son that we'll go and visit one of our relatives. So she goes happily, and on the highway son tells her we'll buy some fruits. She gets down to buy fruits. He goes and he never comes back. And she's sitting there at the fruit vendor wondering where to go because it's a highway. This somewhere in north side, says she doesn't know where to go. She doesn't know what to do. Now she comes across one NGO within the locality. They take her to some old age home. Then they try to track and find the son. And the son says that she's a burden, I don't want to take care of her. Now that's how I just left her and I came. So that's a situation where the people don't know about the Act. Now these are some other cases where the persons have had to claim maintenance because they were ill-treated. They were in 70s where they were ill-treated, and this lady, she brought son and daughter-in-law thinking that she'll live in peace in her last few years, but they ill-treated her. She had to ask maintenance. Now some of the Govind cases where the cases were filed before maintenance tribunal and they were given directed. In one of the case, tribunal has directed 8,000 rupees where there are 3 children. None of them were taking care of the parents. These are some other cases. Now these are the cases which are reported in newspaper, which we come across day in and day out, where a person was arrested because he, his father, 75 years old, he lodged a complaint that he took away money, he took away mobile phones, he threw him out of the house, put him in old age home. We come across these cases daily. So a person was arrested by the police. Again, another person was arrested in Raibanda. Again, this is a reported case in newspaper. Now this was a survey that was conducted by Helpage India in 2015 in some of the cities. Some of the interesting facts that came out of this survey was that 73% of the youth admitted that there was abuse of elderly, 42% felt that this problem is there, and 83% said that elder abuse is there in every neighborhood. Now who's the abuser? Most of them said the son, and daughter-in-law was villain in all the cases. Yes, the daughter-in-law was the villain and she is the main abuser. Then common form, they said abusing, verbal abuse is the most common form, but also there is giving emotional abuse is also another form. Reasons for abuse, most of them said that attitudinal and relationship issues and property inherent disputes are the also important points. Now again there was another survey that I came across which was conducted in Goa in 2012. Now this survey, they said that verbal abuse is the main form of abuse, followed by disrespect and neglect. Then there was 74% people never reported abuse because they did not want to trouble their children. Most of them knew about police helpline, that is 1090. Only 9% were aware of Senior Citizens Act. Now this was a position 4 years back, but I don't think it must have increased from 9, maybe 10, not more than that. Now these are some of the suggestions that I would like to make after this. That is, what is lacking is awareness of the Act. Now these are only few of the programs that are happening regarding Senior Citizens Act, and there are more awareness needs to be done. Because as I said, there are some points like the Act applies to parents. Nobody knows that. Right? And there are various points as such which needs to be highlighted, and the awareness needs to be created to not only to the parents and senior citizens but also to the children. So they know that there are authorities who will tackle them if they neglect and abuse their parents. Apart from that, there are various schemes which government has, which has to be reached to the people, senior citizens, like one of them is senior citizens cards. There should be stricter implementation of the Act, speedy disposal of applications. Now these are the things, as we said, 90 days, 30 days, 60 days. But what I hear from people, the senior citizens, that it's lying for months together. Nobody is bothered about the disposal, then one fine day they will be disposed. So 90 days, 30 days, the time period, nobody knows that there is some time period for disposal of your application. So I think something needs to be done there, only then it will be effective. And lastly, responsibility of the children. The children needs to be told right from the school levels, which is, I don't know whether it has been told or not. We were told when we were in schools, we had this moral science lessons and all. I don't know if they are taught now, but it doesn't look like when you see the parent, not all. But they need to be told that how to behave, how to respect the children, and if not, if they do not, then what is in place. That also has to be told to them, right? Both the sides. And how to respect, if they don't, then we have systems in place for them. Now finally, I would like to say that we should not forget our parents. Now this is mainly for the youths, because we are here because of them. And we should know that although we say that the Act should be effective, I would say that there should be awareness about this Act, which people should know about the many different things. But I think the maintenance application, we should create a scenario where there is no need for parents to file for maintenance application. Although they know there is a law, because it's not very happy scenario to say that we have thousands of maintenance application, right? That's not what we want to achieve by this Act. So although we know we have provisions for that, but we should create a scenario where there should be least maintenance application we should have in our departments and before our authorities, just because that parents and senior citizens, they are taken care of by their children. Now before I close, I would just like to highlight that in our college, I am from Kare Law College, Margao, we have 20 legal aid clinics, and we are doing quite a good job in this field of senior citizens awareness. And I am very proud to say that my students have done more than 150, my sir is also there here, more than 150 senior citizen cards, and we are still doing it as part of our legal aid clinics, as part of our NSS students. Now these are some of the glimpses of programs that are done by them. Our students have done programs in old age homes, our students have done programs in churches, in various other areas for senior citizens. We have made many senior citizen cards, we have had camps for them. These are only few of the glimpses for them, and I am very happy to say that in South Goa at least we have these 20 legal aid clinics, and we are doing good job. And if not anything, I know that my students must have definitely got many blessings from the senior citizens, and they literally wait for my students to come to the legal aid clinics, because many a times what we see is that more than anything else they want somebody to talk. So I think that is what we have to give them, that as Sir Roland Martin said, connection is more important, then we come to maintenance and welfare. Thank you.
We are going to have questions or clarifications, but I just would like to say, because of the time factor, there are two things I would request all of you to do. Please write down what you think or what you want to ask, because we may not be able to handle all questions, clarifications right now. So all through the program, I would request you can please keep writing, pass it to us. So we will work out a system via email or whatever to eventually respond to this, because of the time factor. Also, you can realize if there is a house full, then the house full has to go for tea, go for lunch, come back. That mobility itself is to be factored in. So we are already half an hour behind time. So please understand, if we cannot entertain everybody's questions, we had said we'll keep at least 15 minutes, but we'll have to cut it down to about 7 to 8 minutes. So anybody who has any specific points to make of what Ma'am Shruti has said, the act I want to say is on the web. If you just type Maintenance of Parents and Senior Citizens Act, Goa, 2007 and the Goa Rules 2009, you'll get it as a PDF file, you can download it. I also want to tell you, the act, copies are over in the government printing press. We have moved the department to get them to reprint it, and it's also going to be printed for the first time in a translated form in Konkani and Marathi. So this is one advocacy Goa can took up with the department. So yeah, I've seen one hand up here. Can you say your name, please?
Arun Patel.
From
Panjim.
Okay.
This amount 10,000, when was it specified? Is it because that is the top limit you say? Now, if a person is of a particular status, we don't expect that he will stay in amount of say 2,000, 3,000 rupees. So is there any provision to enhance this amount?
The Act provides the upper limit as 10,000, and every state government can limit it, but they say do not exceed 10,000 rupees. And the government of Goa has also made it to 10,000. So maintenance tribunal can grant up to 10,000, not beyond that. But there are cases where they have granted even 8,000, like one of the cases we saw. And we saw the calculation, they take into account the income of the person, also the dependence on him. He might be a child where father is asking for maintenance, but he might have 4 children, their education. So that also is taken into consideration. They will say, and father is also considered as a dependent on him, and then they make calculation. So it's not that just father can ask 25,000, but if his earning is say 50,000 also, and there are 4 children who are dependent, tribunal will take care of that also. So that's why they say do not exceed 10,000 rupees.
Okay, one point I just want to make regarding the maintenance tribunal officers. They are the deputy collectors in your respective areas. So I would just like to request you, don't wait for some occasion. You can always go to the deputy collector and say, hello, I went for this seminar, glad to meet you. How is your tribunal working? You need any help from me? So what I'm saying, let's make the tribunals a participatory process. There is an appointment of conciliation officers now, for example, which have to be announced in every 6 months. This is not happening. So you can go and encourage them, sir, please appoint, we'll help you, etc. Okay? So keep that in mind, because Ma'am Shruti has said many things.
Only one.
Yeah. Please.
You know, as per the rules, I wanted to know how many members constitute the tribunal. Because I came to know that the subdivisional officer is only person.
Only person. There's only one person, presiding officer.
But there is a provision to have conciliation officers
Yes.
on the
panel.
On the panel.
Yes.
Because you see, there is administrative tribunal where there are 3 members, I think.
Here we are
So
maintenance.
tribunal means cannot be one person.
No. Here maintenance tribunal is one person, and conciliation officer is a panel.
No, but tribunal
Can be
can
one person.
consist of one person only.
Can be. See, Mr. DeCosta, what I want to emphasize here, please understand, this is what I'm saying, unless we activate this process, government works on something and says this is it. We have to say this is not it, or this should be like this. That is the proactive stance you would have to take. So I would say, as post this seminar, can we discuss this as an ongoing process? How are these tribunals functioning? I have phoned all the deputy collectors. See, the question comes is how many maintenance applications are coming in, for example, of Perne. So we have to activate all the tribunals in all 12 talukas. Then the question will become whether he is able to handle, because deputy collector also has to handle tree. Coconut tree is falling down now. You understood? He is also the tree officer. The deputy collector has to handle that. So there is a tree falling down and there is a senior citizen falling down.
No, what I mean to ask is
correct point.
That old elderly people in 70s and all, they cannot go to the tribunal and they can present their cases. But why not the conciliation officer can be the presenting officer for senior citizens?
It is provided there in the rules that a conciliation officer can be approached once an application has been filed. My question is that conciliation officers have to be appointed.
No, my problem is different. Conciliation officers are there. All NGOs, some NGOs can be listed as conciliation officer, but the subdivisional officer who presides over can refer the cases to them. Conciliation officers.
It is there already in the rules.
Yeah, it is there.
Yeah. So what you are trying to say, Mr. DeCosta?
I want to say that there should be somebody to help the senior citizen to present the case to the tribunal in a better way.
That is the duty of maintenance officer. There is another provision for maintenance officer. He is the person who is going to help you to represent your case before maintenance tribunal and appellate tribunal. But only what Sir Martin is saying is, are these authorities in place or they are only on paper? That is the issue. On paper we have full proof provisions.
So just to sum up this point, what I would like to say is that the deputy collector, the maintenance officer and the conciliation officers, this is mandated to be there. Now what we can do post seminar is in the next say 3-4 months visit to all these places and say, Asa Kina, because by July or the second half of this year they have to be notified as given here. If it is not notified, we can start the process. Similarly, what I would say, district council can discuss this. See, as Mr. DeCosta, now you are back on the district council, or if not, I've been told that you will be there in the council. Please raise this as an agenda point. And we can also write to the district council to discuss this point. Okay? Yes.
Shall I, sir? I am Fatima D'Souza. I want to ask one question, sir. Whether the maintenance is per month or
per month.
Per month. My second question, now if the senior citizen is a pensioner, what he would ask for, maintenance or emotional support? Has he have the right to apply for maintenance?
Yes, he has. See,
even if he is a pensioner?
How can
see, pension
because financial support he may not require in
see, as per the act, maintenance is financial support. Now, emotional support, you cannot compel the child to give emotional support.
No, you can, it's like sending an SMS to say, I love you every day. Yes. See, question is that I think it's a good point.
Yes.
The point is that this is where I'm saying we need to work on it. Like before we used to say IQ and EQ, what is emotional support? So I would say if the college from where you come as a principal, the college in Margao, government college, can take this up as an activity, quantify it.
I would only like to say one thing, under the welfare provisions, there are these recreational facilities and various facility schemes where even if children are not taking care, they are alone, they come together like under various schemes and they are given a chance for better living. So that is a responsibility of the government to see.
So that is, even if they have finance, amount coming regularly as pension, they have the right to apply for maintenance. Thank you.
Okay, I have to call time out because see, doctor is already here. We are going to eat into. So I would suggest Shruti is not running away. She's going to be here. Please what I would say, cause a dharna in front of Shruti outside when she comes for lunch and place the questions before. But I would also request you, please write down your queries, because let's not end the questions only in this forum. We still need to answer them, so please bear with us because of the time factor. Can I
thank you all for that excellent session on the overview of Act and Law Rules, and the speaker, Ms. Shruti Nadkarni from GR Kare College of Law. And we are also aware that we also have many students from GR Kare College of Law and also the VM Salgaonkar College of Law. And also due thanks to Dr. Sabah Da Silva for being here. We now, on behalf of the organizers, will request Coordinator of Goa Can, Roland Martins, to kindly give this token of appreciation to our speaker, Ms. Shruti Nadkarni.